Yeah, I've been up here, but. What's up, guys? Good.
Rob, obviously you had a terrific defensive line last year, but do you pinch yourself when you realize you added Christian Wilkins?
Every day. It's one of the best groups I've been around in 12 years. It's a lot of fun. But I mean, what's crazy is it's the same group plus him from last year. So like, last year, I remember what people were saying as well going into the season. You know, John Jenkins and Adam Butler were like camp bodies. You know what I'm saying? So, and then you add a guy that they're familiar with. It's a lot of fun to come to work every day.
You talk about Adam Butler and John Jenkins. What did it mean to be able to get those guys back?
Everything. In terms of like creating a standard, him in '98. This is one of the groups that what makes this special is you're building a team, like not just a group of talent. So their traits, their personalities all play off each other. They balance each other really well, which creates infectious energy, and it's a lot of fun.
Coached him for a few years in Miami, Christian Wilkins. How have you seen him grow as a player over the years into what he is now?
A lot, very similar to '98's path in terms of becoming a pro. In a lot of ways, he struggled as a rookie. You know, that tank for 2 a year in 19 was tough. It was tough on everybody. It was tough on me as a coach. I know it was tough on him. No different for 9. Last year was a tough rookie year. And a lot of like these young defensive linemen coming into their rookie year, especially the guys that are drafted at the top of the draft, they have to deal with expectations and all those type of things. He's somebody that can talk him through that process, what he went through. And every year he just kept getting better and better. But like you can see with these guys, and Christian will talk about like when the light bulb went on, and then in my opinion, they just take ownership and create their own process. It turns into nutrition, it turns into the routine on and off the field. No different than '98. But that's like what it's all about as a coach, seeing that come on, and then when they take ownership of it, it's awesome.
Obviously, Tyree is trying to move in that direction. What have you seen from him now? Obviously, he wasn't out here last year at this point, which was probably a huge part of that.
Yeah.
Struggles as a rookie, but what have you seen from him thus far?
Mindset, attitude, not giving up, you know what people think. Hey, that's wrong, do it again, do the drill again. Working to the standard of what we've created in that room and really as a defense. Really ain't that hard as a defensive line play. It's playing hard, it's attacking the ball like it's anyone you ever loved and anything you hold dear. It's not getting blocked one-on-one. So those may seem like cliches. That's how we start off every meeting. That's what we're all about. You hear AP talk about it all the time. It needs to sound a certain way. Like, you know, I was talking this morning to the group about like that feeling when we went out in Kansas City and took the field. I didn't know whether we were going to win or lose, but I knew the way the game was going to be played. So that's the standard we're trying to create. That's what Tyree is embracing. It's a mindset, it's a mentality over anything else. And he's displayed that in training camp. And so like when you're not good at something and then pushing through it and working towards getting better at it, that is a mindset because there's people around you, they see you do a crappy rep. No, wrong, do it again. And attacking the ball, running all the way down the field like '98, punching at it, being an a-hole, you know, disrupting practice. If you develop that mindset, the results are just like, it'll happen. It'll happen.
You think you heard the outside noise last year that had an effect on him last year?
Of course. Like I said, you try to say, hey, you know, your mindset in in a bubble when you walk in this building. But I mean, they're young guys. You know what I'm saying? They know what's being said, and it's. I told him no different than I told Jalen Phillips as a rookie. I said, it's not your fault. I said, that God made you this way, built this way, and you were drafted 7th overall. The expectations come with it. You know, and like that's kind of what I'm. What's going on year 12 for me? You've got these hungry, chip on their shoulder players. You know, Max Crosby, late round draft pick. You know, our whole room is kind of filled up with, like I said, a lot of different personalities, but a lot of those chip on the shoulder type players. And then there's some guys that got to carry the burden of where you were drafted or the expectation. 94 is going to have to carry that this year, and that's just part of the job, fighting through it. But his approach, his mentality is right on par with what you want.
You talk about different personalities and carrying that expectation. When you look at Malcolm Kuntz and kind of his journey from where he was when you first got here to now, what would you describe as his personality and how has he grown?
He's grown tremendously. I think just the results were I know that everybody talks about the last eight games, but I mean, he was winning a lot of rushes early, just without the result. We try to stay away from focusing on the result of the sack. You know, Christian could get good middle push and the quarterback flush out the back and 9 gets the sack. So really focusing on the process of winning each rush. And then it was fun to see it click for him. And he has that personality. When he starts headbutting and he starts getting like juiced up, 98 always brings the juice. When he gets going, then it really, affects the whole unit. He's just fun. Like he is a great personality, always smiling, easy to talk to. Man, a few words. He's awesome.
Developing players.
Coming into their second year, similar boat as Tyree would be Byron Young. But you didn't see a lot of action as a rookie. What kind of points of emphasis do you see for him to take the next step?
Same thing with him. That kid knows how to play football. It's a style of play he's still developing. It's a finish. It's more than just doing your job, but emphasizing the finish with him. He's really smart. He's really intelligent. He wants to be right, but it's playing with that edge at a consistent level. He's shown flashes of it, and I think he's had a hell of a spring doing those things.
How much does it make you a better coach when you have Max, John, and Adam who are developed players, but they want to be mentors, so they're grabbing Byron, they're grabbing Tyree? How does it help you?
Tremendously. We have a pretty transparent room, so when I'm coaching something, there's little details. My job is to set the standard for how we do things. How we play a base, how we play a reach, how we play scoop, how we rush the passer with 4, how we rush 5. No, black and white is my job. This is how we do it. Their sauce details within that are everything. They understand how to do things, and then what I call change-ups off of it. Like the standard way to middle push, for example. There's a lot of details that go within that that they always touch on. Stuff you hear out, the calls that the offensive line makes, stances, tips, and that's all stuff that can't be coached. You got to play the game to understand those type of things. So tremendously.
Rob, you mentioned you've been at it for 12 years. How much does that experience that you've seen players like Christian Wilkins start slow, and obviously get to where you wanted to get to. But when you're coaching somebody like Byron, when you're coaching somebody like Tyree, and maybe it didn't happen overnight for them, how much do you have to remind yourself? It's still a process, not to get frustrated on your own end, and then allow that process to unfold.
Yeah, I mean, the experience of having started with the Giants, I had Lorenzo Carter, a 2nd overall pick, going to Miami too. I go down and down, but you learn something from every experience, and not all the guys are the same. So how they handle that, how they deal with that, and really communicating with them through that process, and just saying, hey, and you just build. I just need you to do this today. Reset, and you can't go in, I want to accomplish this, and this. No, today let's get this fixed. And then once we get that, then we'll build. And just keep stacking. So you're always trying to center their mindset on a day-to-day basis. And not just when they're here in the building, in the off season, that's year round. What are you working at? What's your plan in the off season? What's your plan this summer when we break for 4 weeks? But with their input along the way, but you got to create the vision for them personally, and then have them walk it.
I'm
curious, you have a player from Nigeria, David Ogoa, and from the NFL International Pathway Program. What's it like coaching somebody who's seen the game perhaps from just a different perspective and not learned it since he was 5 years old and trying to develop as a player?
It tests you as a coach. I love David. It makes me take nothing for granted, assume nothing. I think it was in training camp last year, we were putting in a call, we're like, David, this comes from the field. He was here all spring, Mike. He's like, Coach, what do you mean by the field? And I'm like, oh. I said, shame on me. I said, I didn't explain. This is hash marks on the field. This is the wide side of the field, this is the short side. So, I sometimes say this line, I'm giving you guys lines that I say. There are no Navy SEALs, they say there are no bad boat crews, only bad boat captains. So that's on me. that's my fault. So like with him, back to the progression thing, going back very basic, football 101. That's everything. Calls. Why do we call base defense? Why do we call it nickel defense? What's nickel? Why do we call it nickel? All those type of things. So you're just building, trying to explain the basics of the game. And like I said, you just can't assume anything. And I tell David, you got to confirm. If you don't know, you need to tell me you don't know, because a lot of guys will just sit there. Yeah, I got it.
Rob, during OTAs, there was a moment where a player had done something well, and Antonio, paraphrasing here, but basically said, "That's what you get for listening to Coach Rob," or whatever. He was in reinforcing you to the players. That's not always the norm in the world of football, where head coaches want to talk, but he is very much building the staff up to the players. Can you talk about working for a coach like that?
It's awesome. I mean, it's the pillars you just talked about this morning. Creating trust. When your head coach echoes, "Hey, listen to your position coach." I mean, he's got to trust me first in order to say that. But players can sense all of those when staff isn't aligned. I'm very aware of that. Like, Fiends coaches the outside backers. He spends most time with the Sams. I've coached the outside backers. So when J-Rob or some of those guys come to me, I'm like, no. Go to Fiends. Go talk to him. So to create trust that he knows, no crack in the foundation. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
It's not that I can't answer the question. That's his department. And I'll echo what Fiends is saying, because it could be the same thing, but if I'm not saying it the exact same way he's saying it, then it can create doubt. It can create, you want them fully confident in what you're asking them to do.
Very good. Thanks, Coach.
Good?
Thanks, Rob.
Thanks, guys.